Are you ready for a story? This is the story of Eric Liddell. I wonder why we remember Eric. Let's see. Eric's church doesn't use colours, so let's use the blue of the saltire, the Scottish flag, instead. Eric was born in China. His parents were Scottish missionaries. He was the second of 4 children. His parents called him Henry. But when he was baptised, they changed his name to Eric. When Eric was a small boy, his mother caught him banging a nail into the wall of their home. She was angry because the house belonged to the mission. Eric asked if he belonged to the mission too. He felt like he did. When he was about 5 years old, the family travelled home to Scotland for a holiday. When the holiday was over, Eric and his older brother Rob were left at school while the rest of the family returned to China. Eric was sad without his parents, and China was his home. But he had Rob. Everything Rob did, Eric did too. Eric knew that God was calling him back to China, but he didn't tell anyone yet. The boys loved science and they loved sports. And Eric's sport was rugby. After Eric left school, he went to university in Edinburgh to study science. He played rugby for the university, then for Edinburgh District, and then for Scotland. He was so good that he played for Scotland 7 times. All the time Eric was playing rugby and learning about science, he was also telling people about God's love. He would speak to people all over Scotland, and because he played rugby for Scotland, people came to hear him. During the summer there was no rugby. One of Eric's friends asked him to enter the university athletic competition. Eric said that he didn't have time. But he came anyway, and he won the 100-metre race. He kept running and he kept winning. He stopped playing rugby so that he could run. He was so fast that he was invited to join the Great British Olympic team for the 1924 Games in Paris. A few months before the Olympics, Eric was told that the heats for the 100 metres would be held on a Sunday. Eric could not run on a Sunday. Sunday was the Sabbath, God's day. It was not a day made for running. People were angry with Eric. Some people even called him a traitor. He was the great hope for a gold medal, and he was throwing it away. Wasn't a gold medal more important than God? But Eric still said that he would not run on a Sunday. He said that he could run in the 400 metres instead. The Olympic Committee said yes, but didn't think he would even get to the final. Still, Eric trained and worked to prepare for the race. At the Olympic Games, people were still angry with him, but he reached the final. On the day of the race, one of the team gave Eric a little note. He opened it just before the race began. He read, "In the old book it says, 'He who honours me, I will honour.' Wishing you the best of success always." When the race began, the crowd gasped. Eric was running this race like it was the 100 metres. He would collapse before the end. At the 200-metre mark, the other runners were beginning to catch Eric. Soon they would pass him. But Eric threw his head back and flung his arms out and ran even faster. He couldn't see where he was going. He ran with faith. That day, he won the gold medal and set a new world record. After the race, Eric didn't drink champagne and celebrate like everyone else. Instead, he went to the Scots Kirk in Paris to speak to people. People expected Eric to keep running and keep winning medals. He was a hero. Everyone wanted to meet him and to hear him speak. But Eric needed to go back to China to teach science, to care for people and tell them about God's love. He knew that God had made him fast, but that God had also made him for China. He travelled back to China in 1925. He met his wife and they were married in China. 2 of his daughters were born there. When World War II broke out, China became a dangerous place and was invaded by the Japanese. Eric's family were sent home, but Eric stayed to look after his people. Even when he was taken to an internment camp, he was still looking after people. He taught the children, he organised sports, and he still told people about God's love. He shared everything he had with them. And he prayed for everyone, including the Japanese soldiers. Some people did not understand how Eric could pray for the soldiers. But Eric taught people in the camp to love and pray for their enemies. He helped them to understand forgiveness. His message was of true peace. But Eric was also very ill. He died in the internment camp just a few months before peace, and he is buried there. There are memorials and statues in China and in Scotland to help us remember him. This is the story of Eric Liddell. God made him fast, and God made him for China. I wonder which part of Eric's story you like best. I wonder which part of Eric's story you think is most important. I wonder if there's part of Eric's story that's about you. I wonder if there's any part of Eric's story that we could leave out and still have all the story that we need. I wonder what you are wondering about this story.